Hey guys, and welcome back for another tutorial. Today I want to show you guys how to make this adult turban hat. So I do have a pattern for a newborn turban and I do have a video, so I'll have that link below as well as the information icon. But after much request, I have made a adult turban version. It has this little strip in the middle here that covers up the seam. So the directions on how to make the pattern will be over at the blog post as well. So if you're interested in learning how to make this, then go over to the blog post and draft your pattern and then meet me back here and we can start creating the hat.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is lay out your fabric. This is the jersey knit. I am going to make sure that the stretch is going from left to right, and then I'm going to grab my pattern. This is the pattern. It will be cut on the fold. So we're going to go ahead and fold the fabric. And then I will place the long flat edge against the fold and pin it into place. This is me struggling with my horribly dull pins. So buy good pins and then they won't go dull so quickly. These are from the dollar store. And now I'm just going to use some sharp scissors and cut that out. So for this tutorial, you are going to be using a needle and thread. You could use your sewing machine if you wanted to, but it is super easy, so I'm just going to use my needle and thread. So use a nice long needle. And the curved edge, the U shape, that's where we're going to be sewing. So we're just going to start at the one corner and we will start threading our needle. This is called a running stitch. So you're just going to slowly pleat the fabric about every quarter of an inch or so onto the needle. And you can do it as much as you can on the needle and then pull the needle. So you're just going to do that running stitch all the way around that U shape of the fabric. I am not going to be hemming this one just because it is a jersey and it's not going to fray. If you wanted to use a serger and serge the edges, you're welcome to do that. If you wanted to hem the bottom, then I would add an inch to the bottom of the pattern so that you can account for that. So once I get to the other side, I'm just going to pull my thread and I will gather that all up, and then you will get your basic shape for your hat. Next, we're going to take the two corners of the front of the hat and we're going to bring those together. We're going to evenly gather the fabric along the thread. We're going to make sure that all of the raw edges are facing me, and you will have your hat inside out for this next step. So if you are using a fabric that has a right or wrong side, make sure it's inside out. I'm just going to put one stitch into the opposite corner and then bring that together. And then we will just do a whip stitch all the way down that line of gathered fabric. So whip stitch is you go through one side, go through the other side, and then we're going to bring the thread over the raw edges, and we'll just keep doing that. Do it as much as you want. I'm using a white thread just so that you can see what I'm doing, but I would recommend using a matching thread just so that you don't end up seeing the stitches when you go to turn it right side out. I'm also going to leave the very end of it open a little bit, leaving about a little half-inch hole there, and that will be for my little decoration that I'm going to put on next. If you don't want to put this next thing on, then you can just sew it all the way up and not leave a hole. So of course, if you wanted to sew up that hole, you could put a bow on it, or you could put one of those buns. I have a tutorial on how to make the bun and the bow, so you can check that out, which will also be linked in the information icon. But this is what we're doing. This is how the other one looked that I made. And so you're just going to get another piece of fabric measuring 4 inches by I'd say 10 inches. It all depends on how you go to sew the next step, but I'm just going to fold it in half lengthways, and I'll sew down the long edge. And then I'm going to flip it right side out. So make sure that that was inside out if you have a right and wrong side. And then where the seam is, you're just going to make sure that is centered down the middle of the strip. And then we will tuck one end into the hole. So from here, you're just going to gauge how long you want it to be. That area that I have the gathering in the front might vary depending on how tightly it's gathered. So just gauge how big this little tab piece is going to be. So I probably only used about 6 inches. So I just, put it right sides out and just laid it flat and just saw how it looked. And then I'll just sew a seam with the 2 edges or ends, and then I'll just cut off the excess. So after that, I'm just going to cut off my excess, and then I'm going to hide those raw edges on the inside. And then I'll use my needle and thread to tack it all into place so that it doesn't move. So all those little raw edges from that hole, I'm just going to tack those with that raw edge of that little tab piece. I just fold in the raw edge of the tab piece, and then I'll just sew along. And like I said, if you have a matching thread, then it won't look as bad as mine. And if you wanted to tack the front of your little tab piece too, if it looks a little messy, you can just put a little bit of tacking stitches just to make sure everything stays nice and perfect. So after you're done this step, then you're pretty much done. You have an adorable little turban hat you can wear. It's very stylish if you want to wear your hair down, but it is also an awesome hat if you know someone who's going through cancer treatment. So it's a great stash buster, a great thing if you want to donate to your local charities, and I think they turn out really, really cute. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And if you make these, I would love to see them. So follow me on my Instagram and the Facebook, which will be all linked below. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye guys.